All right, and we're live. This is our second episode at the halftime of the Eagles game. They are currently down 16-9. Let's roll the intro, man.
Let's do it.
Cool, man. We're back. All right, Damien. So things didn't go according to plan. I figure you probably want to get right on top of that.
I mean, I do. I got a lot on my chest. Feel like Cody Rhodes or Dustin Rhodes kind of coming out and saying, what do you guys want to talk about? But I know there's a lot because I put a lot out on the line this week. I said the score would be 40-20, 43-20, 40-20, somewhere around there. I was close. Yeah. I'll say that. I was close. Just wrong way. I was close.
Yeah, for sure.
So, let's go ahead and dig in. Everyone knows, especially people that know me, know I'm a huge Dallas Cowboy fan. All year long, I have talked about regular season, saying that didn't matter. Nothing matters to the playoffs. As a Cowboy fan, I have to take that. Those are my words. I will take that. I'll take the grief. I'll take the punishment. I said nothing matters to the playoffs. We saw what they did in the playoffs, and it's what they've done the previous 28 years, basically. We'll just say it at that. On the 28th year anniversary of Dallas's last NFC Championship game, that is what they put out. The exact date, 28 years prior.
Are you serious?
That's what they do. Yes, the exact date, 28 years prior.
Lord. Oh, Lord.
Yes. And it was against the Green Bay Packers nonetheless. It's against the Green Bay Packers nonetheless, 28 years ago.
It was brutal. It was brutal to watch, man.
I was left speechless. I can tell you I threw some things a couple times across the room. Left the TV alone, just threw some things across the room. It's just what it was. It's what it came down to. It's all right. Bottom line is they were out-coached. They were out-prepared, it looked like. Defensively, they didn't do the things that they normally do. As a Cowboy fan, I'm still here. I'm still a Cowboys fan. I've seen people throwing away, burning stuff, doing those type of things. Y'all can stop that. Cowboys will be back. They're going to entertain us. They can go 17-0 next year. I won't care because it's all going to be all about what they do in the playoffs. Just as a quick breakdown for me from this game. As I said, they got out-coached. Offensively, the first half, I put that all on Dak. The first half of the game. I know people are going to point out the defense, say the defense didn't stop anybody or anything to that effect with it. But the first half to me was just mostly on Dak Prescott. Cowboys defense gets a stop. What does Dak do? Throws an interception inside the 20-yard line. When CeeDee Lamb was wide open behind him and everything else to that effect with it. CeeDee Lamb's wide open. He throws to Brandon Cooks. It was a tendency play that the Cowboys did, which is going to be a tone that I'm going to talk about for this first half, is that all they did was keep to their tendencies, and the Packers played into that, and that is how they got the lead, jumped up on the Cowboys quick. The second interception, ran that formation, ran that set. The safety comes down, baits Dak into throwing to CeeDee Lamb because everyone sees CeeDee Lamb's frustration, knowing Dak's going to try to get the ball back to him. What does he do? He just jumps the interception. It is 27-0 before I can even think about them getting back in this game, which is what's crazy. Even on the drive that Dallas scores on right before half, Dak throws an interception that the Packers drop in the end zone. So for me, that first half is completely on Dak. I don't care what most people say. They can blame the defense. That first half's on Dak. And granted, it's 27-7. Cowboys come down, kick a field goal as our first drive in the second half. I know people are putting a lot of blame on the defense. First half, they hold Green Bay to 15 carries for 32 yards in the first half of that game. Defense, to me, did its part the best they could at that point. But when you got the offense not helping them whatsoever, keeping them off the field so they can even try to make adjustments at that point, I don't know what else to say about that, man. I don't even know what else to say.
Hold on, we're getting yo. Oh, out of here, bro. Hey, what's up? What's up, Marlon? Yeah. Yeah, me and Aldiger were having some talks offline, and we were talking about All Pro and who deserved that because he's a 49ers fan, and he got a little. Well, let's just say he got a little butthurt that his precious Brock Purdy didn't make All Pro, which to me, I don't think he had that kind of year. He had a great year, but he's not top two in the league in my opinion. But we had a
Yeah.
discussion about that. But my whole argument was that how can you take Dak off of there? And when Dak looked the way he did in that game, you can make a pretty good argument that maybe you do because that was bad, man. And I know everybody that's not a Cowboys fan, the argument is who'd they play? Who'd they win against? They didn't beat anybody. Did you win 2 games against winning teams?
We beat Detroit. We beat the Eagles. Only two winning teams we beat. I'll get Chargers had a winning record when we beat them, but they finished the way they finished. It's what it is with that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they didn't beat winning teams, but they beat the losing teams the way a great team should beat losing record teams, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But I get it. The thing about Dallas is they haven't proved that they can pull it out in a tight game situation, and that was the biggest issue for the Cowboys this year. They didn't prove they could pull it out in tight game situations. Second half, I put the second half on the defense. Some of it is because I think they had to try to go out and make plays. I think the players thought they had to make plays because the offense wasn't getting it done. But the Cowboys proved all year long they were front runners. That if the defense wasn't setting up the offense, because I will still contest that the offense wasn't as great as what people said. They couldn't run the ball on a regular basis. McCarthy refused to run the ball on a regular basis. And I think that's how Green Bay played them. They're just like, we'll give you 5-6 yard carries at a time. We know eventually you're going to go back to what you want to do, which is throw the ball. So, I mean, it's just what it was. McCarthy, in my opinion, has to go, especially if you can bring in Bill Belichick. That's who I want. I want him to come in. I know that means Dan Quinn's going to probably go too. I think even if the Cowboys advanced, Dan Quinn was going to go anyway. So I think he has to go as well, unfortunately, especially if you bring in Belichick. Unfortunately, that could mean Dan Quinn goes to the Eagles, could go to Washington, something to that effect, could go to Seattle. It's just what it is. Take the chances with that and just move on. But I just think we have to get rid of McCarthy. We have to get rid of Belichick. The Dak Prescott conversation is a completely – oh, man. I don't even know how to start on Dak Prescott, man. I said it on the last show.
I think you're being a little hard on Dak because I mean he still put big numbers, and let's be real, the coverage was awful all game long. PFF rated your overall coverage for that game a 30.2. I think that's the worst I've ever seen. Yeah.
But, okay. Did you see Dak Prescott's post-game press conference?
I did not.
Okay, Dak's been in the league, 8 years now, right?
Something like that. Yeah, he's been around for a while.
Been in the playoffs, I think 5 or 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
He said in his press conference his mind was racing faster than his body could react, and it didn't settle down to the second half. This is an 8-year veteran in the league. Been to the playoffs. How does that happen? How does that happen is my question, man.
I'm with you on that. Like, Dak has certainly a part to play in it, and he threw the 2 big picks. He also, what do you end up throwing for there, man? Like 360.
Man, that's zero. That's empty calories, man. Who cares? Those are empty calories. No, those.
If the defense stops you, it makes a stop one time. Just make maybe 1 or 2 stops, and you guys are in the game.
42-16 when he got all the extra yardage, man. It was 42-16 when he got the yardage. It's empty calories. It's
a 2-score game at the end of the game, is it not?
Okay, let's take away Dak's 2 interceptions that he threw, okay? The defense doesn't make any stops, but Dak doesn't give up 14 points. Scores 32-31 Dallas. It's on Dak. I don't care what anybody says. It's on Dak, man.
Deron Bland had a PFF score of 30.1 for that game.
The whole secondary The whole secondary was bad. It's like I said, the
Yeah.
first half to me was on Dak. He didn't help set the tone, anything to that effect with it. I will challenge you to go back to any game for the Dallas Cowboys this year that the defense did not set the tone, that the Cowboys played well. Where the defense, I shouldn't say set the tone, but the defense didn't get turnovers or touchdowns that set up easy scores for the offense, that
Yep.
the offense played really well. Other than Seattle. Seattle's the only game I'll give that to.
Something we were talking about before we went live that I want to bring up for the live stream because I think it's a good conversation is, can you please tell me what they were doing running all that zone? That's not who they are. That's not who they've been. What they did? Why? What's behind that decision, man?
Talked about it, and like I said, some of it's I think they were afraid of the matchups, didn't think the secondary could hold up man to man. LaFleur comes from the McVay tree, comes from the Shanahan tree. A lot of motions, a lot of misdirections, even with the passing game. And I think that's why he tried to settle with some zone. He did it against Miami too. And McDaniels comes from that same lineage and that same tree. Here's a crazy stat that I bet you didn't know. When Dan Quinn went to the Super Bowl, his offensive coaches were Shanahan, McDaniels, LaFleur, 0-6 against all of them. 0-6 against all of them as a defensive coordinator against those guys.
Really? They got his
Yes.
number a little bit.
They do. Dan Quinn usually runs what he's going to run. But for whatever reason this week, I don't know what it was. You're dropping Micah Parsons into pass coverage on a key third down situation to get momentum back. That's your best pass rusher, man. I don't know what he's doing with that. I hate to throw Dan Quinn under the bus a little bit because he is probably the reason why the Cowboys won a lot of the games the way they won. So I don't want to throw too much shade at Dan Quinn. But I can't let him off the hook as well for this game. As a Cowboy fan, it's heartbreaking. Not going to lie. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. I'm more upset about this game than I was the Dez catch, the Romo fumbled snap, the Aaron Rodgers toss. More upset about this game, more embarrassed by this game than any of those games that have ever happened to the Cowboys.
Yep. Our young man that's on our coaching staff, he went down to the game, and we kind of talked about that on the last episode, and he gave you a shout out. He said, "You got the blowout that you wanted." So good for him, man. Good for him, dude. Good for Aiden.
I got to take it. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
I was quiet all year about the Cowboys. We started this podcast last week. It was the first week I've ever been boisterous about the Cowboys this year. I mean, we were the number 2 seed, man, and
so it's your fault.
I'll take it. I will take it. Cowboy fans, if you want to put it on me, I'll take it. I got big shoulders. I'll take it, man. It's what it is with that. But yeah, the Dak Prescott situation, man. I don't know. You can't extend him. I don't see how you extend him. He's going to count $60 million against the cap if you cut him or you keep him. So it's hard to say.
Kenneth Williams wants to know, what about a trade?
Yeah. If you get you get a great offer, I think you go for it. I think you got to go for it if you get a great offer. But if you bring McCarthy back, then I think you keep Dak. I don't want McCarthy back. That's the way I feel about it. Because then that way, if they both fail next year, you can just clean slate and start clean. That's the only reason why I feel that way about it.
How many times are you going to change things for Dak, though? That affects a quarterback. Can't keep changing systems.
I don't think Dak's the answer. I think you have to put a better coach around so Dak doesn't – even when he fails, they still succeed, I guess. Dallas doesn't have that mean streak, that toughness. Maybe it's because their facilities are too nice. I don't know. Maybe Jerry needs to turn off the hot water or something to that effect with it so that they get tough, man. I don't know what to do with them, man. I really don't.
Oh, my God.
I don't have a full answer. Yes, McCarthy needs to go. McCarthy has to go. I know he's gone 12-5 the past 3 years. I know he has. I know he's done a good job in the regular season, 12-5, 3 straight years. But when he took the job, his job was to get the boys to the Super Bowl. That was the whole criteria. That's what he came in for. He's failed. I don't see how you bring him back. I guarantee you, if they bring them back, the Cowboys win maybe 7 games next year. That's all I can see them winning with that. 7 games next year. That's my prediction if McCarthy comes back. I don't know how you bring the guy back. With the way the team has failed in the playoffs, especially with the way they showed up for this game, man. The way they showed up, they didn't compete. It's amazing that they didn't compete, man.
I
So
don't know what to say, man. Like it's hard to argue with you. I just think with a coach that's gone 3 straight years, 12-4, it's how do you fire that guy? But it is the Dallas Cowboys. The expectations are high. As we had a conversation in our coaching chat a little bit earlier today, and uh, what are unreasonable expectations and what are high expectations? I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty reasonable to expect a 12-4 team to go deep into the playoffs. And I mean, what's deep in the playoffs too? I've always wondered that. I think you got to win at least one game.
for me, it was the NFC Championship game. That was the final. The only team I felt Dallas should have lost to this year in the playoffs was the San Francisco 49ers.
Mm.
That was the only team I would have accepted a loss to, just to be perfectly honest with it. Everybody else, I felt like they should have beat. And they've said the rumors McCarthy was going to be judged on his last game. How would
Yeah.
you judge him on this last game?
Well, I personally would judge Dan Quinn a lot more than I would Mike McCarthy. That's my personal take on it because that defense was trash. Yeah, I know you don't want to hear it and you call it empty calories. The offense eventually did what they were supposed to. If you don't give up 50 points or whatever it was, I mean, I don't think you lose that game. 48 points. I mean, you scored 32, you should win.
But you say that, but it was 42-16 with 6 minutes left in the game. The Packers pulled their starters, and then the offense started moving the ball. They pulled their starters. They had to put their starters back in because Dallas got close again. But the Packers pulled their starters out of the game when Dak made these plays.
What'd you say that was? 42, right?
Yeah, 42-16 was the score. Or
So
46-16, whatever the score was at that point. I lost track because they were putting up too much.
just on a side note here, we can finish talking about the Cowboys in a second. The Bucks Eagles are back on. The Bucks defense did go out and play a nice possession there and made the Eagles punt, and they're driving a little bit. So Bucks are looking good, man. Bucks are looking good.
Bucks are. Eagles defense ain't what it was last year. We've talked about that. Everyone knows that a little bit. So we'll see what happens with the rest of this game, the way it falls out. Baker Mayfield's playing solid, but the Eagles defense they're playing better than Dallas's defense. I'll give them that. I can't talk about anybody's defense right now. I can't talk about anybody's defense. But it's like I said with the Cowboys, man. I know you want to go hard on Dan Quinn. He had a bad game plan. He was matched out. He got out coached. McCarthy got out coached too, though, man. But the Cowboys aren't where they are without Dan Quinn, more than McCarthy. I think most Dallas Cowboy fans know that and realize that. McCarthy's first hire as a defensive coordinator was horrible. So Dan Quinn came in, did a decent job. My honest opinion is if you can't get Bill Belichick, I'd rather have Dan Quinn as a head coach than McCarthy. That's my feelings on it.
Do you think, do you really think Bill Belichick's the answer in Dallas? He doesn't seem like a Dallas kind of coach to me. Kenneth Williams, yeah, I do think that we talked about this last stream, man. I do think the Bucks look good. I'm a Baker guy. I like Baker. He's doing what he's got to do here. It is what it is. But yes, the Eagles are a shell of themselves. They're an absolute shell of themselves here.
Got a nice stop by the Eagles D there.
Yeah, yep. But they got him into a third and long situation there.
Yep.
The Eagles can rush the passer fairly well. So,
But
yeah,
man.
Injuries.
Just to
Everybody's
close
got injuries.
Just to close my feelings on Dallas, though. Won't really talk about them again until big moves made and things to that effect with it. So I apologize, Cowboy Nation, for putting the Cowboys on that pedestal. I got a lot of grief for picking the Cowboys 40-20 over Green Bay. I caught a lot of grief from that from a lot of people, and I'll take it. It's what it is. They failed. They let us down. As a Cowboy fan, though, I will still be there. I will not quit. But I say this: they can go 17-0 next year, but nothing's going to matter to me till playoffs. It'll be the
Yeah.
same situation. Nothing will matter till playoffs. And I couldn't even watch ESPN today without watching 3 straight hours of them talking about the Cowboys, which
We ain't doing any different right now. We already talked 20 minutes straight about Cowboys, man.
yeah, we're gonna go into some other stuff though. We're gonna go into some other stuff, but I watched 3 straight hours. I'm like, man, there were 3 other games this weekend. Like, come on.
Kenneth says, I'm glad this is recorded and can be played back. For sure, man.
So
For
tell me
sure.
about your Chiefs, man. Your Chiefs had a good game against the Miami Dolphins. Go about the way you expect.
Yeah, actually, I was pretty happy with it. I was a little surprised that the Dolphins weren't a little more successful in the run game, but it looked like we were prepared for that and we stuffed it. And that is their whole offense. Honestly, if you take away their run game, then they can no longer play action, and then their passing game is no longer effective because Tua is the quarterback. And I'm sorry, not sorry. Like, I think it was on national television. Everything I said on the stream was pretty obvious in that game. And if you get him off schedule and you're asking him to make big plays, you ain't going to win. It doesn't matter who your receivers are. So, yep. And Kenneth, I'm pretty excited about this one, to tell you the truth. I am really excited for us to go to Buffalo. I think it's going to be an awesome matchup. I have a lot of respect for the Bills and the way they do business, and Josh Allen. And hey, man, there's no shame if you lose to the Bills, but I would much prefer to see a victory there. I think the legend just grows, man, if you go into Buffalo and you pull that one out. What I don't want to see is us go into Buffalo and lose, and then I got to hear all the nonsense about how Mahomes can't win a road playoff game. And like, I just, people are so drastic with their takes sometimes that it's just irritating to me. But I know that stuff
Yeah,
will come.
tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, hey,
Tell me
man,
about that.
I know you saw all the memes and stuff with the cycle of the Cowboys. So just circular choking in the playoffs, back to Whedon boys. But hey, man, yeah, Buffalo. Buffalo struggled some, but they got it together. They're a good football team. I don't think anybody thinks that they're anything but a good football team. Yeah, they were what, 5-5. Yeah, they were 5-5, but that's not the way they ended the season. I don't think that. I don't know. I don't see it as relevant, to be honest. That's a good football
Real
team.
quick, did you see this unnecessary roughness they might be calling on against Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, they did call it. Just let me see if I can catch this replay real quick. I didn't see the hit, actually. I was
Oh no,
talking.
they called holding. Oh no. Oh, they called both. Okay.
Yeah, they called both. Let's see this
Yeah,
hit.
you're a little bit ahead of me.
Steps up. Eh, that's so bang bang there, and like he's not in the slide when he goes for the hit there.
Yeah,
That's definitely a
that,
hold though.
that's my thing. He's not really a sliding there.
It's not really a slide. Yeah, he needs to be better at sliding there. So when you go into that slide, then guys are pretty good about knowing when to pull off. Oh my god, the
To be
Eagles.
honest, it actually looked like he tried to cut and he lost his balance.
It did kind of look like that. It did kind of look like that. I don't know if I love that call, but they're going to call it, especially when you end up hitting the quarterback in the face there. So
Yeah.
they're going to call it. I don't love it. I don't love any of it. I don't love it when they call it for Mahomes. I don't love it when they call it for anybody. So I wish we would just get back to football, but they're going to call it that way. You just got to expect it. This Eagles offense is broken. They're broken.
I've told Eagle fans they would miss Steichen this year, and I think it's showing the way their offense has been forming.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be a big loss for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Chiefs going up to Buffalo, man. It'll be a good one. Buffalo upsetting, or not upsetting, but knocking off the Steelers today. Um, I
Hey,
thought
what's up,
Buffalo looked good. They're
Patterson? Patterson's in the stream. Yes,
eliminate the fake slide.
I 100% agree. Who was that?
Exactly.
That was the kid that plays for the Steelers now. That did that in college. Remember at Pitt?
Yeah.
What's his name? Pickett.
Pickett.
Pickett. Yeah. Yeah. Pickett did
I
that
actually
fake
think
slide.
that's why
That was-
Josh Allen.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I actually think that's why Josh Allen broke that 52-yarder today. He did a little bit of a slowdown, and I think the defense thought he was going to go down.
He did do a little bit of a slowdown, like he might slide, and they were so quick with that flag. Yeah, because I will give him, he didn't drop the shoulders though.
No, but
Pickett literally on that original fake slide, like he all the way dropped his shoulders and gave the motion like he was going to go down, which is just that's there's no place in the game for that. If we're going to try to protect you, like that's dirty in my opinion. That's dirty play. Yeah, it's not hurting anybody, but it's still a dirty play. So yeah, I'm with you on that, Patterson. Allen stuttered, yeah.
Stuttered, yeah.
I
Like I said, it looked like to me, when I saw that run, it looked like he was going to go down, and it looked like Pittsburgh let up a little bit. Got a big defensive penalty here on Tampa Bay. Questionable call there, in my opinion, but I'm a defensive guy, so I'm always going to lean toward that.
Right. So what are you saying, Kenneth? Are you saying that was not a fake slide? I think that's what you're saying. I would tend to agree. Yeah, that's holding though. Look at that. That's bad. Come on, man. You really are against that holding call, or are we talking about the same one?
Okay, they're showing it now. All right, yeah, he got him.
That was
kind of.
That was like the Eagles holding Juju. Clear and egregious. I think he'll probably end up with the Falcons. I know you had said that in our coaches chat, Patterson. Like, if I'm him, that's an attractive place to go because you're probably going to have a chance to go get your quarterback. You have some really nice pieces on the offense there with the rookie running back, a nasty physical specimen of a tight end, and Drake London, a wide receiver. You get some pieces, man. Like, you probably get to go pick your quarterback too, which Bill hasn't been great at with what's his name? What's the damn Patriots quarterback's name? Help me out here.
Mac Jones.
Yeah, Mac Jones. I don't love Alabama quarterbacks though, so I don't know. I haven't seen.
What about Hurts?
Hurts is an Oklahoma quarterback, sir.
That's true. I do tell people that Hurts is an Oklahoma quarterback. He is an Oklahoma Sooner. That is true.
Yeah. I think, I'm a little bit tongue-in-cheek there, but not much. Like, he did go to an offensive team and learn that Oklahoma system, and I do think it helped him in his transition to the pros. Say what you want to say. Oklahoma produces some pretty damn good quarterbacks and offensive products for sure. You got one of them on your team with CeeDee Lamb. So, I don't know.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about CeeDee Lamb is he's a great route runner, silky smooth receiver, not the biggest spectacular catch type guy that's going to go up and over someone to make the catch. And I felt like Green Bay physically punked him in that game.
Yeah.
There's a play where Zaire Alexander pushes him in the back, and Lamb just walks off. While when I watch the Chiefs and I watch Tyreek Hill get jammed at the line, pushed to the ground, he gets up fighting. But to me, CeeDee Lamb just kind of walked off from the situation, and I don't know if he mentally wasn't there or something else was going on with him. But it's what it is with the guy, man.
Speaking of physical
just
play,
got to train better. That's all I can say.
Speaking of physical play, what'd you think about that jam that Snead put on Hill?
Yeah, that's the play I'm talking about, where Hill gets back up, but Hill at least fights back and pushes back when he gets up, man.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
I,
CD. I'm sorry. I was looking over at the game and
no,
got lost a little
yeah,
bit. My bad.
no, that was the play I was talking about. That's the play where Hill gets back up and pushes back at the guy, but CD gets pushed and he just takes it and walks off and doesn't even confront the dude for giving him a cheap shot, basically. And Hill wasn't
Yeah.
even cheap shotted.
No, no. Even Hill was joking about it after the. I think he tweeted out today or something. He was like, "You sent me that tweet."
Yeah,
I had already, yeah. Damien sent my son sent it to me as well. So yeah, that was cool. I don't know. I thought Tyreek handled it pretty well. Like I was worried that he was going to throw a little temper tantrum on Twitter after losing to us twice in one season. But he was pretty gracious about it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I saw
Tyreek's
it, Patterson. Yeah, I did.
got jammed all the way to Cancun, I think is what he said.
Yeah, he jammed my ass to Cancun.
Yeah.
Let's see. CD only gets defensive when is grabbing his cell phone. That's rough. Rough. Hey man, I ain't even got nothing to say about that right there. So who we got? Who we got in the rest of this? Is Tampa going to pull this off, man?
I don't ever want. I honestly don't ever really want to count the Eagles out. They figure out ways to sometimes win these games, especially this year. They've been winning close games, one possession games. I've always thought this year they've lived on the edge. That's one of the reasons why I just don't think they've been as good as last year. But they're still a good, solid team. Um, so I wouldn't be shocked if the Eagles defense holds because Tampa's offense is squandering some opportunities. They started to drive at midfield, didn't get in the field goal range at least. And they're going to let the Eagles hang around, and it's just going to take one or two plays for the Eagles to get back in this game, in my opinion. And don't know what's going to happen from there. They'll probably go for two and blow it, though. So who knows?
They had a nice little play action pass there. It's actually Spider 2Y Banana, I believe. I think it was literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the Bucks, they should be able to pull this out, but you don't want to ever count a team out like the Eagles. Ray Lewis is on the Manning cast right now, so that's good entertainment. I love the Manning cast. And Ray Lewis, I'm a huge Ray Lewis fan. I know that might be. When did it become controversial to be a Ray Lewis fan?
When he got accused of murdering two people, I think that's when.
Yeah, but like Marvin Harrison killed the dude. Like,
That was after Marvin Harrison's career was over, man. I don't like that's all I can think of. I don't know why else it'd be controversial to like him, but
Clyde
he was kind of
Edwards-Helaire
accused of
killed
that,
the
man.
dude.
Like, just putting it out there. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Like the dude, they got stabbings going on in the club, I suppose, and now I can't like him as a linebacker. I guess I don't know.
You know, he wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy, and the Cowboys passed on him.
Dude, I love some of those stories of like teams that have passed on great players and stuff in the draft. I really love the draft. I'm looking forward.
This was after he was a free agent. He was a free agent. It was before the
Yeah.
draft, or it was after the draft. His career was been developing. It was on his last contract extension. I think he was going to get. Ravens let him go into free agency, and he said he wanted to be a Cowboy. Told the to come and get him. It was after they shut down Texas Stadium because that was the last game in Texas Stadium. Tells the Cowboys to come get him. Cowboys don't do anything. It's what
Right.
Jerry says he wants to win championships, but he ain't willing to do sometimes what should be done to win.
Kenneth says is about his decision to not kneel. That's a controversial topic. I can tell you I was not a fan of the kneeling as a military guy, but I will defend their right to do so. They absolutely had the right to do that, and I find it distasteful, but whatever. It's neither here nor there. I think if somebody decides not to out of respect, I don't think anybody should hold them too harshly for that. But I think a lot of people held people a little too harshly for doing it as well. So that goes both ways, Yeah. Yeah, I know. Kenneth, I 100% know the story. I agree with the point you're making. I also do not
Gosh,
agree.
make third.
I don't agree with the military guy that told him to do it, and I don't agree with him doing it. I'm not ever going to, and that's okay. Like I I have no big ill will towards the guys that kneeled. I have some ill will or some issues, rather. Let's say it that way. I have some issues with Kaepernick, some of the other stuff that he does and says. I'm not into. Let's avoid the politics, I suppose.
Yeah,
It's probably best.
we can move
Yeah,
on from that for right now and
yeah,
everything else.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
Fair catch there. So yeah, so I don't know, man. They got to go score at this point.
I mean,
They
that's
got to go.
another situation right now. The Bucks were 3rd down and 1, have to punt that ball when they were in field goal range, ready to put more points, and they go ahead and just basically make a bad play call, in my opinion, on that. And Baker takes a sack and everything else.
Yeah, for
So
sure, for sure. I would like to see him get the running game going a little bit and take some time off the clock. If you're the Bucks, if you're the Eagles, man, you gotta. I don't even know where to start with them. I know Kenneth said they're missing a bunch of weapons, which they are, but it's next man up, dude. And they got a deep receiver room. Like, there's a lot of guys that can make plays. Yeah, you can't take that sack. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, with the Chiefs game, I was really excited and happy with pretty much everything. The defense played phenomenal, minus the blown coverage by McDuffie on Hill there. You're one play away from a shutout, essentially. And Snead,
yeah,
when he was in coverage, was absolutely phenomenal. Um, which I'm not sure. There for a while, I was a little surprised. I don't know if it was the weather or whatever, but they weren't traveling the corners. Normally, they travel Snead with anywhere Hill goes. That's what they did in Germany, and they didn't do it there at Arrowhead. I don't know if that was because of the cold or what, but it looks like they were switching them off. Maybe they were trying to disguise the coverage a little bit too.
what you mean? Your team adjusted and did something different for the playoffs than what they always do? Is that what you're
Well,
telling me?
I get
they
it, man.
they
I
adjusted
get
and
it.
make some adjustments to the game. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I get it. Spags, man, I got to give it up to him. I was not a big fan of the hire when we went out and got Spags. That's because I really like the 3-4. I like the odd front defenses, and I wanted us to go get one of the Ryans or somebody like that at the time. But when we hired Spags, I was like, man, now you got to go get a bunch of 4-3 personnel, and you got to rebuild what was a pretty good defense personnel wise. And I was a little scared about it, but he's won me over, man. That dude, he's a phenomenal coordinator. He's one step ahead of most guys he coaches against, and yeah, yep, for sure. I love Spags, and everywhere he's been successful. And I'm a little surprised not to hear his name coming up more in some of these coaching talks, some of these head
Yeah, I
coach
am too.
talks.
For some reason, everyone wants the offensive genius
Yeah,
as far as football goes right now. Um, so that's just what it is. Man, what a play right there. I know you're ahead of me a little bit, but man.
yeah, yep. So, and then yeah, I'm also watching the Manning cast. So half the time I'm not looking at the same stuff you are. Right now
Yeah,
they're
that's true.
showing the Pro Bowl games.
Oh, okay.
They're showing Manning over here coaching the Pro Bowl games up.
Hey, that's the
I,
one good thing. I'll get to watch at least 7 Dallas Cowboys at the Pro Bowl game.
bro, I've been thinking about that since the Chiefs were started kind of struggling this year. Like, damn, I might actually see some Chiefs at a Pro Bowl this year if they decide to go. So I don't know, that might be cool. I'll give Joe Barry some credit. He opened the game in a scheme he hasn't run all year to confuse Dak. Seemed to work swimmingly. Who uses the word swimmingly, Aiden? Oh,
He's on a Packer high right now. I'll let him
oh, that's
get
safety.
away with
That's safety.
anything and everything. Oh, you're ahead of me. You're ahead of me.
Did he get that off? I guess they're saying he got it off. That looks safety to me.
Oh, that's in no way. That is a safety. If I'm Tampa, I review that. I challenge that if I'm Tampa.
Yeah, I agree, Marlon. That is a safety, man. Yeah,
I
intentional
challenge
grounding
that if I'm
safety.
Tampa. Yeah, there
They
we
call
go.
it. Yeah,
Something.
it's
Okay.
safety.
Yep.
That's huge.
Now that's huge.
I think that unless they can get something, I just don't. I don't want to count them out yet. There's so many great players on that team. But what's wrong with their offensive line, though?
Um, Bosa from the 49ers kind of summed it up a little bit to me. It's not that the offensive line's bad. He said in the locker room, the way you put Jalen Hurts stares at the pass rush. Don't get out of your
Mm,
lanes, and he's going to look at the pass rush first.
he does a little bit, yeah. But
Yeah.
I don't know who was that. Landon Dickerson. Aiden says, "My bad for trying to diversify my vocabulary." Okay, we'll let it slide this time, Aiden. Was that Landon Dickerson that got walked into the quarterback there? Like that's
Ah, I haven't seen the replay, so I didn't get a chance to see it.
like he's a really good guard. That whole line is just full of. I mean, it's probably the best offensive line in football.
This year they
Um,
haven't played like it. This year
yeah,
I might give that to Detroit. Might give it to Detroit this year,
Detroit has played
or
really well.
Baltimore maybe. I don't know.
Baltimore struggles a little with pass blocking. I would
They
say
do.
they don't love that.
Mhm.
I'd say Philly is a team and an offensive line that really is good at both, but they, like you said, haven't played to their potential this year. They return there. The Bucks have an opportunity to go ahead and just put this game away here.
Yeah, if they can get a touchdown on this drive, um, I think they're good to go.
Yeah, I agree. Chris Bailey, Tampa scores on this drive. It's a wrap. Yeah, throw the ball. I hear you, Kenneth. He does hold the ball a long, long time. I don't understand what he's looking at there. Like you have to know too, when you're backed up in your own end zone there, you can't hold the ball, man. You gotta just throw it over a guy's head or something, man. Like you got to get out of the pocket too. That
You do.
looks
You got to make.
that was a bad
You got
snap.
to make those plays. Yeah.
So I think Ryan Jensen's out. He's been out all year, hasn't he, for the Bucks? I don't follow them too closely. Not much of an NFC
Yeah.
guy.
I don't follow the Bucks closely at all, so I couldn't tell you. My man Marlon, if you're still listening, if you could let us know. I know you're a Buccaneers fan. Could kind of be our Buccaneers insider a little bit on that situation.
Yeah,
So,
so
man, what were your thoughts on the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud?
just more of the same, man. More of what I already said on the last stream. I just love the guy, dude. He's great. He's poised, and to go out there as a young man and do what he did, I'm so proud of him, man. I'm so happy for him. Um,
Uh oh. Uh oh.
what happened?
Touchdown, Tampa Bay.
Ooh, Palmer.
Bradbury.
Yeah, Trey Palmer, the Nebraska product. Not that I'm a Nebraska fan, but congratulations to the guys that are. I know they like to see their former Nebraska players do well. Trey Palmer's a fun one. He's a fast kid. Uh, really good receiver. Really liked what he's done for them. And I think I had some money on Trey Palmer doing well today. Let me check out. Let me check what I got going on here.
I mean, you did call that Texans the backup tight end
Brevin Jordan.
making a big
Yeah,
play. Brevin
I was
Jordan.
pretty.
You called that one out.
I was pretty excited about that one, man. I didn't know if he was going to make that much of an impact, but I did kind of see some stuff on film and some targeting stuff where I think they were trying to go at him last time they played and just kind of got away from it. I think he had a matchup, and obviously he did with that 76-yard touchdown there. He's got some wheels for a big guy.
Yeah, I think that's what shocked me the most was seeing him pull away from everybody from where he caught it at and just
Yep.
Got
He was
out and
kind
just
of a
blew away.
dude. He was kind of a dude in college, man. I know I liked him coming out of college. I kind of like to follow tight ends, and especially now that I like to follow tight ends before I was even a tight ends coach. But now I'm a tight ends coach, so do I follow him even more? So there's some good tight ends coming out this year, obviously, that people can be excited about. And actually, a guy from my favorite school, K State, their H back is he's crazy good, and somebody's going to get a bargain on him because he'll probably go fifth or sixth round, if unless he goes and balls out at the combine or something like that, which I'm kind of hoping he doesn't. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. There's some guys. The Minnesota guy too up there is pretty interesting, and Brevin Spann, I think, is his name. He's a little bit older. He's like a fifth or sixth year senior. I think he has a COVID year in there, but that dude's a monster as well. And got to hang out with him a little bit when we went up to Minnesota for the coaching conference last year, and was really impressed with him. And he's a leader and definitely a physical guy. So he'd be one to watch out for a late addition. But yeah, Brevin Jordan, man, he was a dude with the Hurricanes. Like I kind of like him. See what happens with
Huh.
his career.
He showed out. I think the most stunning thing for me was how well they handled Miles Garrett. Tunsil did a great job one on one with him.
Laramie
Um,
Tunsil is a
yeah,
dude, man.
I
Yeah,
did. I didn't expect him to do that well. I thought he was out. It looked like he dislocated his kneecap and he put it back on or something like that. That's what it looked like during the game. Couldn't tell what the injury was or anything like that to his knee, but that's what it looked like. But he did a great job against Garrett, which shocked me. I thought he was going to make a few plays here and there and kind of light it up a little bit.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Patterson is in the stream in the chat trolling
Yeah,
me
I saw that.
specifically.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hey, this is an interesting point that Chris Bailey makes here. That he says, I notice I see the Eagles O line players looking at their tablets and not Hurts. That's kind of a bad look, man. You should be studying your film over there on the tablet, man. At that point, even if you're faking it, like maybe he doesn't
I
have
will say
anything to
this.
look at.
Yeah, I will say this about Hurts. I don't know if Kenneth Williams is still listening, but he
He
doesn't
is,
seem like he's been having as much fun this year.
yeah,
Um,
I agree.
Playing the game looks maybe he's just trying to take that serious tone of I've got to be serious so everyone knows I'm really into this, but his demeanor all year just hasn't looked like he's had fun this year. And I think
I
it's trickled
love.
down to the rest of the team.
Oh, there goes Swift. That was nice blocking there. That was a nice little counter. Um, I love Hurts. I love his demeanor. He's such a responsible kid and like very awesome personality and very good leader. I think. Yeah, I don't know what's up with him. I don't want to see guys like him go downhill or have a bad time. That's not cool. Hopefully, he's still enjoying football. But it's been a rough year for him, so it's kind of hard when you're going through a season like that.
Yeah. I know he's been dinged up a little bit this year with a knee injury too. Maybe that's
Yeah.
affected him a little bit, but
Yeah, he's in pain.
I
Well, I know he's in pain today with the finger and all that too. They
yeah.
were showing it earlier. The dislocated finger. That's tough,
Mhm.
man.
Oh, I
To
saw
pull
that.
through that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
But
Laramie
like I
Tunsil.
said, the biggest hurt for him is losing Steichen. That was the biggest loss for Hurts this past season.
Yep. Hey, they just I don't know if Aldiger's still in here, but they just ran that motion that the 49ers have been running all year. That little slide motion out to the side there. That's an interesting motion. It's worked really well for the 49ers and caused a lot of matchup issues and stuff. So it's not a surprise to see other teams starting to use it.
Yeah, I've been seeing it quite a bit. That's a
Hmm.
lot of that's going around, especially in that 49er family tree with
Yep.
those offenses and things to that effect with it. Seen a lot of that.
I was actually surprised I didn't see more of that in Miami or in KC against Miami. I kind of expected some of that because they love their motion, but they were more traditional motions, cross formation and stuff. Just trying to identify coverages and hopefully get somebody to blow a coverage if they're zone. But I don't know, man. I thought that Spags called a great game in that Miami game, and for the most part, the offense did well. The one thing I would criticize is the Chiefs need to accept who they are and run the damn ball, give the ball to 10. Um, I feel, and they did. They gave him 24 carries, so it's not like he didn't get enough carries. It's just I feel like sometimes they get away from it too much, and they'll go run heavy and run, and then they'll pass instead of mixing things up. I think they need to like get a drive where they're mixing things up a little bit better. There's a little bit more of a rhythm. You're keeping the other team off balance a little more. I don't know what's going on with the play calling. I know some of our coaches are pretty into saying that it's the offensive coordinator and it's not Andy. Andy has always called the plays. I can't imagine that Andy isn't calling the plays.
I think but that's his style. He's never been a just pound it guy.
Yeah.
Even back in his days in Philadelphia, that's just never been his style.
Yeah. Yep. I will say I know a lot of people think we're missing Eric Bieniemy, and I'm sure that we are in some ways. I think it's a little overstated personally. Um, I'm sure we're missing him, and I like Eric a lot. I think that was the big thing we're missing was Eric Bieniemy, obviously as a former running back and running backs coach, and he kind of went through that path to offensive coordinator. He would be the guy, and they're kind of saying, "Hey, we got to run the football." So I definitely think that we're missing that for sure. So we got to get that figured out. But the Texans game, we didn't talk much about that. I agree with you. I know you said the Miles Garrett, the way they handled him, that was impressive. Actually, the way they handled Miles Garrett, and he didn't really make much of an impact.
No. And Flacco, I brought up his interceptions. He threw 2 pick-sixes. It's just he's going to give the team chances. And if he's doing that, then it's going to make it tough for the Browns. For whatever reason, the Browns' defense wasn't as good this year on the road as it was at home. But I didn't expect him to get beat that way. I knew C.J. Stroud would be impressive, and I picked the Texans to win that game. I didn't expect it to go the way it went. But hats off to C.J. Stroud. There's not many quarterbacks, like I said, that I would take in front of that guy right now.
No, me neither. Me neither. And then I guess the last game we haven't talked about because we've been talking about this one, and I kind of think this game's over, to be honest. The Steelers game. We didn't talk much about that or at all.
Steelers, Bills. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't touched on the Lions and Rams.
We talked a little bit.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about Josh Allen and his 54-yard run, but Josh was just dominant in that game. What did he end up with? 4 touchdowns? 3 passing and 1 rushing, I think.
3 passing, 1 rushing, I believe so.
Yeah.
With that.
Dominant.
He made the plays, but when Buffalo really needed it, the fact that this offensive coordinator goes to the running backs and just goes to a running game is the biggest switch for this Buffalo team. The fact that he's willing to do that and not put it all on Josh Allen and put that much pressure on Josh Allen, to me, is the biggest change that this offense has found.
Completely, man. I think that's the biggest scary thing about going into Buffalo next week is that they are a different football team. They will run that football some, and now you're off balance as a defense. And that's scary when Josh can go off schedule and do things like that 54-yard run he had. Man, it's hard to deal with. The Bills are a tough football team. But yeah, let's get on the Rams Lions too, though.
First thing I want to do, if we're going to talk about that, is I want to apologize about Puka. Man, that dude can make some plays. I said before going into that game that he just makes catches. That's it. He was a difference for that Rams offense. His ability to break tackles, I've really never sat down and watched the guy too much. But hell, that guy's a hell of a player. That's all I can say about that guy. That guy is tough, made plays, broke tackles, was the Rams offense for the most part that game. Matthew Stafford is a stud. That guy can spin the rock, but props to Detroit. They made the plays in the red zone when they needed to make the plays in the red zone. I
Yeah.
was a little bit shocked McVay punted a ball back to Detroit with 5 minutes to go in that game. Um, I thought on that 4th and 7, he probably should have went for it. Uh, or heck, try kicking a field goal with Maher. Maher has he has 3 field goals over 62 yards. He
Yeah.
has the range to do it. Could have tried that as well. So that part of it surprised me. But props to Detroit. They got a victory, so I'm happy for Detroit. They're going to host the winner of this game, of course, which right now is looking to be Tampa Bay. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens with that.
I don't see this outcome changing. But yeah, super excited for the Lions, man. Nobody hates the Lions, dude. Everybody wants to see that city get to have a little joy in their life and to see them host a playoff game and win it. And I love their head coach, man. So much energy. Um, there's a lot of good things going on there. I was happy for Goff. Like, I like a lot of their players. A lot of good stuff. Uh, this is the apology stream, man. This is the
Yes,
apology
it
stream,
is.
bro. You guys deserved it. Good job for the Packers. Perry, I'm glad you got to experience that and go down on a trip like that and have a good time, man. That's a once in a lifetime opportunity for a young man to go down there and have a good time and see his team kick some ass on the road. Like, that had to have been really cool, man. Happy for you. Happy for you.
Hey, have you heard this crazy stat about the Packers? That they have more playoff wins in AT&T Stadium than the Cowboys do.
Are you serious?
Beat the Cowboys twice and won their Super Bowl there. 3 wins in AT&T Stadium, more than the Cowboys do.
Oh, yikes. Yikes. That's rough.
It is.
Yeah, but
It sucks.
that Rams Lions game was quietly the best game of the weekend, honestly. Like, sorry, I know I'm switching gears a lot, but I'm like watching
Oh no, you're
football
good.
and trying to have conversation too. But yeah, like that Rams Lions game, dude, it was a good game. That was a 1 point game, wasn't it?
It
Yeah.
was. I thought the Rams controlled the second half for the most part of that game.
Yep.
But like I said, the biggest shock to me was the fact McVay punted the ball back to him with
Yeah, I
5
don't
minutes
know.
to go in that game. Or it just,
I
I thought
guess
he
you
should have
trust.
went forward or kicked the field goal. I didn't agree with just giving it back to him at
I
that
guess you
point.
trust your
With only,
defense. Aaron Donald was not dominant.
Mhm.
Oh, and I kind of let something go last stream. Aaron Donald hasn't been the best interior defensive lineman for 3 years now.
I know you're
That's
going to
Chris
say Chris
Jones.
Jones. I know who
It
you're going to
is
say.
Chris Jones.
I know
It
you're going to
is
say
Chris
Chris
Jones.
Jones.
That's a fact, sir. He's probably, I don't know, man. I'm hoping he's still a Chief next year, but I don't know. I don't see how we make it happen. He might end up playing somewhere else next year, but that dude's dominant. But Aaron Donald didn't look himself. They
I'll disagree just because of the simple fact Aaron Donald gets triple teamed.
Yep.
I mean, Aaron Donald is getting triple teamed on a lot of plays, and the Rams don't blitz heavy, so therefore, um, I think Chris Jones kind of gets a little bit more one-on-ones on occasion and things of that effect with it. But to me, Aaron Donald, Chris Jones is great. Don't get me wrong. Like to me, Aaron Donald's 1A, Chris Jones 1A minus, basically. If I had to grade that out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're different guys too. Like, they're different body types and everything. Like, Chris Jones is freaking 6'6". Aaron Donald is not. And Aaron Donald's 280 and a little bit more stout and kind of built different and has a little bit more of a motor, I think, than Chris Jones.
It's off the board.
Yeah, what's up with this?
I don't know if you're ahead of me or not on this, but
Yeah. I'm watching. Yeah, I'm watching
yep.
some lockdown defense right there. That was good coverage. I don't know what you're watching. I think I'm a little ahead
Yep,
of you.
that's just what I just saw. Incomplete pass. It's actually not a horrible call. Down 16. I mean, a field goal still's 2 possession game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not a horrible choice.
You gotta go
Yeah,
for
not
it
a
there.
horrible choice on that.
fighting for your playoff lives there, man. You got to go
Yep.
for it.
A lot of time
Well,
left, though. Still a lot of time left.
yep. 3rd and 14. McVay blew it. Play for the field goal. Kenneth says, "Yeah, I agree, Kenneth. I agree
Yep.
with you 100% there. It was a weird call. There was a lot of questionable play calling this weekend. Do you have like a particular one that you would say is the most egregious bad play call?
If you're going to put it on a T for me, I'm going to tell you every offensive play the Cowboys called in the first half. It's a questionable play call. If you're going to just put it on a T for me, swing there. I mean, that'd be the most.
And I actually do think a veteran quarterback like Chad Henne in the room is something that you would miss. I think there's a lot of things that are different in the offensive rooms for the Chiefs this year. Juju was an impact player that changed coverages and took pressure off of Travis Kelce. I think having Chad Henne in the quarterback room probably makes a difference. Eric Bieniemy definitely makes a difference. I don't know if I think he makes as much difference as some other people think, but he definitely makes one. There's just a lot of it's different. It's different every year. We're going to see another different team next year, whether we go on and meet our goals and win a Super Bowl or not. It's going to be a different year again next year. A lot of guys that we got to pay, Snead and Jones, the primary two there, and that's going to cost.
Yep.
So I don't think you can pay them both. Well, mathematically you can pay them both, but it may be too costly to any other moves that you want to make. So,
Yeah, most definitely.
do you
Most
put in
definitely on that.
Mariota for a? Do you try to put in Mariota for a spark? No, I would not put in
No.
Mariota for a spark.
Most controversial play I'd say from this game is probably the Eagles going for the 2-point conversion
Yeah,
early
I
in the
don't get
game.
that, man. We were talking about that before we started the stream, right? Or was that
Yeah.
during the stream? I can't even remember
No,
now.
it was it was before. It was in the first half. It was before Eagles' first
Yeah,
touchdown.
what are you doing there? It
Um,
didn't make a difference to the game at that point. You like just kick the field or to kick the extra point.
I'm just a lot of coaches rely on these analytics a lot of times. I'm a person that I don't believe analytics should really come into play for the most part until the fourth quarter. Otherwise, you kind of just you got to have a feel for the game, how things are going. You get the points. You don't want to chase points or anything to that effect with it. It's just kind of my feeling on that.
Baker is throwing darts, man. Baker's throwing
We'll
darts.
see. All right, we'll see. You're a little bit ahead of me on that.
Yeah, I love what he's doing, man. I love it. I'm happy for him. Cleveland was nuts to get rid of him. Maybe that
They were.
maybe if he's the quarterback in that Cleveland Browns Texans game, maybe that game comes out different. You know,
Possibly.
not to knock Flacco or whatever. I mean, he
Mhm.
Flacco did an awesome job coming off the couch, and good for him. But
Man,
Baker's a
Dallas
game.
Goddard getting it into it hurts. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
do it, do it.
Maybe Baker's time with the Rams, even though it was only about 4 games, maybe that put something in his head to kind of get him straightened up a little bit. McVay is a kind of a quarterback whisperer, they say.
Well, and I really thought it was what a phenomenal appearance and performance he had in that very first game as a Ram when he had been a Ram for like 3 days, and he comes out there and has the game that he had in that game was absolutely phenomenal. I've never seen anything like that. I think that's an underrated game for a performance by anybody. I mean, I hope when they make a 30 for 30 about this dude that they talk about that game a lot because man, that was
That was
impressive.
for him to have 2 to 3 days of practice and
Oh, we
step
got
in
to
and do that was great.
the Bucks take a timeout. Oh, the refs, they're for the Bucks. Oh man, what a nasty cold game that was for that. I know some people were saying that. I don't know how you pronounce that company for that helmet. Is it Vicious or Viscous or what is it?
I didn't catch that team, the Chiefs helmets. I did not catch their name. I know Rydell is putting forth advertisements saying this is why you should go with our helmets because the Dolphins were wearing Rydell's.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like that was just a really, really outlier of a game. It was super cold. It was like negative 26-degree wind chill, and it just hit the helmet just right and cracked. It wasn't like he wasn't protected. The helmet
Yeah,
did its job. You know, you hate to see $1,000 helmet break though. If you're anybody but NFL team that can afford as many. That was one point that I would like to make. If you're an NFL team, if you're any NFL team, you're what, $1 billion organization or whatever. How do you not have spare helmets that are already fit up and ready to go for every player? That's 53 helmets. That's $53,000. You can afford it. Have all
I
53
thought
guys have a spare helmet there.
I thought they usually did. Maybe I don't know what the situation was. I didn't see who Mahomes got his helmet from or anything to that effect with it when
Well,
that
they had a
first
spare
happened.
helmet. They always have a spare helmet for the quarterback, and
Yeah,
they did have a
yeah,
spare helmet.
okay,
But my point is that it wasn't fit up and ready to go because he had to make adjustments to it later on. They were showing him over there trying to get it to fit right. Like they changed some padding out. You know how helmets are, man. You want it to fit right and feel like.
yeah.
But to me, it's like, especially your quarterback, why wouldn't you have two helmets that are identically set up and you already know, hey, yeah, this fits just like my other helmet. You know, players are players, and they're gonna say, well, it doesn't feel just like my helmet. Fine, but at least it's set up
Mhm.
identically because that helmet was not set up
Well,
identically.
well, I mean, it's also something that you don't anticipate that to happen. I
Yeah,
mean,
you
that's something that
should.
usually doesn't happen. So,
You should. They should hire me as the equipment guy because I did that. I did that in the Air Force, man, and like I literally worked on helmets and stuff in the Air Force for the pilots, and I couldn't imagine, you know, going and launching a pilot for a mission and like his helmet's broke, and then, oh hey, sorry, buddy, not an answer. We got to go kill people and break their stuff. So, you know, I would just have, if I was the equipment manager for the Chiefs, I'd be like, hey, all 53 guys need a spare helmet. That's the way it is. $53,000 bill, sign off for it. Just
and
my
who knows?
take.
They might have it in the locker room. Who knows? I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
They could. It's a possibility they could have it. Um, I mean, who knows on that type of situation and everything else.
right.
Tampa Bay trying to put this game away.
Yeah, they are. I want to bring up something Patterson brought up. He says the rumor has it that Jason Kelce last game as a football player. Maybe seeing the end of a Hall of Fame career right now. So
Most definitely. I mean, he's been one of the best centers in the league the past pretty much his whole career, just about.
yeah,
Um,
nothing
I
but
mean, see
respect
what
for that
happens.
dude. I've been so happy with the New Heights podcast. I hope everybody in here watches that because such an awesome podcast, man. And I feel like I've gotten to know both those guys. And Jason is a funny, funny dude. I like that guy a lot, man. He's fun. Yeah,
Um, Heck, he was up for sexiest man of the year. I believe. I think he got third or something to that effect with it. Got ranked third for sexiest man of the year.
sure. Oh, nice little play there. Mike Evans, possibly a future Chief, is what I'm hearing. So I don't think he'll be back with the Bucks. Maybe you can get him on a 1 year to chase another ring. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Is
I'd be okay with him.
is he on the last year of his deal?
He
Which
is. Yeah,
I
he's
believe
a
he is.
free
Okay.
agent. He is a free agent coming at the beginning of the new league year if they don't do something to change that. But normally I don't like to go chase a free agent that's over 30, but Mike Evans has shown no slowdown whatsoever, and his game isn't
No,
predicated
he's
on speed either. So
no, he's been impressive this year. He'd be a nice fit wherever he goes. To be perfectly honest,
yeah,
I think
for
he just
sure.
needs to make sure he's going to a contending team.
Yep.
But yeah, he'd be a nice fit wherever
Yeah.
he would end up at. as a
Yep.
wide receiver.
Rashee Rice, man, what a game he had. Like, it got a little bit outshined by Puka Nakua, but because he had Nakua had 140 something yards and what it was, one touchdown.
Game. I do know we went to that point, and set that. Did you guys use Rice differently this game than you've been using him all year? Because I know a lot of early in the season, I know it was a lot of screen passes to him, um, catching those, getting upfield quick. But it looked like they used him a little bit different this game, or they've been growing his game a little bit as the years gone on.
I think it's the latter there. Just like you said, they've been kind of growing his game as the year goes on. Early on, you're correct. They were using him a lot with the screens and a lot of little short passes and stuff like that, and trying to get his after catch ability in the game and all that kind of stuff because he's great after the catch. And if I'm not mistaken, he's near the top of the league in run after catch stats. But differently, I would say no. I would say over the last 4 to 5 weeks, that's been kind of how we're using him. I would say his role increased a little bit, and sad to say it, man, but I think we're probably witnessing a little bit of the changing of the guard there, and that Rice is kind of becoming the number one option, and Travis Kelce's becoming the number two option. And age catches up with everybody, and Kelce's still elite, but I don't think he's the number one option anymore.
Well, I mean, when you get another receiver that's going to step up, though, it's going to open up room for Kelce.
Yeah, I don't think he's done by any
yeah,
means. He's got another 2 years probably of playing football. He said he's not anywhere near done. But yes, you do need a guy to take the attention off because I think that was the difference in Kelce's game this year is everybody was just allowed to completely focus their defensive game plan on him and take him away. And then nobody else made him pay until Rice started to, which kind of changed things for us. It changed our offense a little bit. So you're seeing it kind of evolve, which I'm also seeing Chiefs fans start to move away from wanting us to draft a wide receiver in the first round, and I am not there, man. I wish to God we could trade up for Bowers. I think that would be great. I would love to run 12 and 13 personnel out there with um, Kelce and Bowers and even Noah Gray, because Noah Gray's been playing pretty damn well and he's been very reliable. He hasn't dropped anything. So, yeah, I would love to trade up for Bowers. That's a long trade up, though. I don't know if you can make it happen because you probably need to get to 8 at least, and you'd be lucky to get him at 8. So, what do you think about that? You drafting? Oh, go ahead.
um, um, I'm a draft guy. I'm going to worry about the draft once it gets a little bit closer, um, and things of that effect with it. First, my first priority for seeing what the Cowboys are doing is I want to see what they're going to do for a coach, because I expect McCarthy to be gone by the end of this week. If he's not gone by the end of this week, I'm going to be a little disappointed. But I expect him to be gone by the end of this week. And then I'll start worrying about the draft a little bit around that time and everything else, once all that wraps up.
Right.
Real quick, I wanted to ask you: do you think Tomlin's going to step down from Pittsburgh?
No, I don't. I think
See
he's
his press
fine.
conference after the game.
I saw he walked off on him because they asked him about his contract situation. I think
Yeah,
I love Tomlin, dude. Like Tomlin's my spirit animal, brother. Like I love that guy, man. He's great. I think he's just pissed off and tired of hearing about it. They've been talking about it for what 2-3 weeks now about he's in the last year of his contract next year. He said he's going to step away and think about it with his family. I don't know. They were talking about it during the broadcast that the announcers were saying they didn't get any indication off of him when they were visiting with him in post or pre-production meetings that he was going to be anywhere but a Steeler. I think he'll end his career in the Steelers. So unless he retires, I don't think he's going anywhere.
I pretty much agree with that. But I mean, I'm not going to rule it out. I'm 85% sure he'll stay, but I'm not going to rule it out that he walks away.
Yeah,
Maybe takes a year off and then sees what he wants to do after that. Maybe
yeah,
possibly after that or something to that effect with it.
it's
Um,
possible. It's
yeah.
possible. I don't think it's likely though. I'll say that. I'll put it that way.
I've heard rumors that Sirianni's in trouble, the Eagles head coach. Not
Probably.
necessarily he's in trouble, but they're saying the owner could be having a change of heart on him.
Mm.
Um, I don't think that should be the case, but usually when there's rumors, there's a little bit of truth to it, especially when you hear those NFL circles or follow some of them NFL circles and things of that effect with it. So,
Yeah, you never know, man. They might just be trying to put a little pressure on him. Um, yes, Bill, we do absolutely need offensive tackles. What I mean, you're an Oklahoma guy though. Like, don't you think? I think Wanya Morris played pretty well. I think he can potentially be a NFL starter. He played particularly well in run blocking situations for us. Jawan Taylor is a liability. I don't know what we're going to do with him because he's just so many penalties. It's ridiculous. I don't know. You almost got to find a way to get rid of him, but you really can't because you paid him. You can have Wiley back. Hey man, Wiley at right tackle, he wasn't a liability. And honestly, Juwan Taylor is a liability. I was fine with Orlando Brown and Wiley. Um, I thought that was a really good offensive line. They played very well. Orlando Brown got a lot of flack for giving up pressures because he's such a big guy and doesn't have the best feet. But you had to run around him, so you still got time for him. And like, honestly, yeah, he gave up a lot of pressures, but it kind of depends on pressures is one of those stats that's completely subjective, man. Like it's some guy looking at film and saying, "Oh, he got a little close to the quarterback. I'll call that a pressure." You
yeah,
know,
I agree. I agree with you on that. Um, like
so
there's pressure and then there's actual disruption type pressure, things of that effect with it. And those are the ones I think that I should actually count as a pressure.
well. And how many times do fans, like average fans, I don't want to bash on average fans because we are fans too. But how many times do you get the more casual fans? They see a tackle get into his pass set, and he turns and runs the pass rusher past the quarterback, and they think he just got beat. He didn't get beat. He
Yeah.
did exactly what he planned to do. You
Well,
know?
that's ball game.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. OU has another first round right tackle.
Yep.
Patterson says, "Can I use that run around to make excuse
Yeah.
during a game?" Hey man, if you're running past the quarterback, like he did exactly what he planned to do, man. That's not a pressure, dude.
Yep.
Because you still got to try to come back and get to the quarterback. You know how I feel about that, Bill. We talked about that stuff, man. I think you and I are on the same page with that. Well, we're at an hour and 20 minutes. The game's over. You got anything else you want to wrap up before we sign off?
Well, do you want to do some just early picks for next week at all?
Yeah, we could do
Um,
that.
yeah, we're
I'm
gonna
down
have
for it.
Houston at Baltimore.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that game? Just rapid
People,
fire, real quick.
yeah, people aren't gonna like this, but I think Houston has a chance to beat them. I'm not gonna call it outright that Houston's gonna beat them. I'll say that they win a closer game than people might think it might be. So the Ravens will win it, but it ain't gonna be a blowout. And I don't like betting against CJ.
I'm gonna I'm gonna take the Ravens. Um, just based on what I've seen from the Ravens this year, I think they'll be able to handle Houston. Houston had a lot of emotion, the home field advantage last week. Um, Houston is also the same team that lost to the Carolina Panthers on the road.
Okay.
Um, so I mean, I can see Baltimore putting a hurting on them, especially with this first home game and everything else. So I'm taking Baltimore
Okay.
in that. We'll come back to the Chiefs versus Bills in a minute.
Okay.
We're going to probably have Tampa Bay at Detroit, or yeah, Tampa Bay at Detroit. I'm going to easily, I'm not going to say easily, but I'm taking Detroit in that. Only thing that worries me a little bit is that Detroit secondary with Baker Mayfield throwing the ball. But I think Detroit's offensive line and toughness will probably grind that game out when they need to. I don't know if Tampa's going to stop them from running the ball much, even though Tampa does have a top-ranked run defense. Um, Detroit is going to be physical. And so I think Detroit, especially with that home crowd behind them, is going to probably put the work in to win that game.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I'm going to take Detroit as well. For many of the same reasons, I do think that will be a close game, and I think that Tampa has a puncher's chance there.
Most definitely. 49ers and Packers. Um, Doing this non-biased, 49ers have had the Green Bay's number, especially in the playoffs and everything else. I think that's going to continue. It'll be a close game, I think. Um, but I think Green Bay came to play against Dallas. I can't take nothing away from them. They outcoached Dallas, but with this matchup against Shanahan and company, I'm going to go with the 49ers on that. With being well rested, have everybody healthy, ready to go. I'm going to take the 49ers in that one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't. Last stream, I said that I think the 49ers is the best team in football. I can't turn around and pick the Packers to beat them. But what I will say is watch out for the defense there. The new defensive coordinator with San Francisco has had his struggles, especially during that 3-game skid that they had earlier in the season. I am not a huge fan of match coverage, and if they start going heavy into that match coverage, I think that the Packers have the tools to expose that match coverage, man.
No,
But
Patterson,
I
the
think
49ers will not play 6 DBs, Patterson.
yeah,
At least not on 48 of the 56 plays that the Packers run.
So yeah, I'm gonna pick Niners, and I'm gonna say they win it by 10.
Gotcha. All right, Bills Chiefs. I know this is your squad.
Yeah. So it's tough not to make an emotional decision here. The Bills have a very good football team. We're playing in Buffalo. It's our first road playoff game in the Patrick Mahomes era, which is kind of crazy to think because that dude's played for 7 years. But it's going to be a really close game. It's going to be another classic, I think. And I think if the Chiefs run the football and they accept who they are in their new identity and they run the offense through Isaiah Pacheco, then they will win that football game. If they don't and they get cute and they do stupid stuff on short yardage situations and they don't do what they're supposed to on offense, then the offense will blow the game. I think the defense is going to be what the defense has been all year, and they're going to be good. But you know what? Josh Allen is a really good football player too, and he's going to make some plays. Those guys are going to make some plays. Going to be a really close game. I'll take the Chiefs by 3.
Gotcha. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm rooting for the Bills. That's all I'm saying on that. Nothing against your Chiefs or anything like that. You know, I got some family reasons, especially behind that and everything else.
Yep.
So I'm taking the Bills to win that game. I think it's going to be a very competitive game. Chiefs have had the Bills' numbers in the playoffs. First time in Buffalo for the playoffs for this type of situation. So we'll see what happens with it. It's always going to come down to Josh Allen no matter what.
Chris agrees with you. Bills are playing really well right now. Josh Allen is a beast. Got to stop his cannon and his legs, and that's tough to do, man. And if you watched the last stream, you already know. Aaron, I said that dude is a monster, and he should have been in the Pro Bowl. He was robbed. I love watching Josh Allen play football. It's going to be really, really hard to beat that Buffalo team at home, man. And you know what? If we lose, no shame in that for me as a Chiefs fan. And if we do lose to the Bills, I will then become not a Bills fan, but I will root for the Bills to win the Super Bowl at that point.
Gotcha. City of Buffalo could use some.
I like that. I like that fan base, man.
Yeah, it's a great fan base that they have there. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it, man. Been on an hour and a half, like you said, just about.
Yep.
This game is definitely done and everything else.
Joe Brady has done a great job, dude.
He has.
Yeah, Joe Brady has done a great job. I agree.
He's done a really great job with that team.
Maybe next time we can start talking about some of our personal awards, and maybe we do hand out some coaching awards.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think we definitely need to try to knock that out. With that, I won't be biased or have any hatred toward anything that I try to put out there. or
Yeah,
anything to that effect with it.
for sure, man.
I guess for me, last few things that I just want to say is if you're a Cowboy fan and you're listening, trust me, I feel your pain. Um, we'll be back. It's what we always do. We'll be back. We'll see how the playoffs go because that's what it always comes down to. It's just coming down to the playoffs. Hopefully, we get to make a coaching change. Hopefully, Bill Belichick is the next in line. That's who I want. Um, if it can't be him, I think you got to blow the whole thing up and just start all the way over with that. So we'll see what happens with that and where that goes with that. Metro Wrestling, they finished runner-up in the Metro Wrestling, and the great job he's doing with the girls wrestling program over there. Just want to make sure I say that to him.
Hell yeah.
And the last thing, yeah,
Ursic's
just
one
want to
of the
make sure that
dudes,
gets out
man.
there.
We love Coach Ursic, so good job for him and his girls
Yes,
there. Awesome accomplishment.
yes, great job for him. Last thing I want to just my kind of sign off is just put out in the world lots of good deeds, do great things, and just remember that you're loved and remember who you are for anyone that needs that kind of advice or anything to that effect with it. Up to you,
Yeah,
man.
for sure, man. Yeah, so I'll just sign off with this, man. I think the legend is only going to grow next week when Patrick Mahomes goes down the field in Buffalo for another game-winning drive right at the end to put him up by 3 points and end the game and go to a sixth straight AFC championship game. And that's what I'm going to sign off for. But I also want to shout out to all our coaching buddies that showed up for the stream. So appreciate those dudes. Please please like and subscribe. It's huge for our algorithm stuff. It only takes a few seconds to push the little thumbs up button, but it does a lot for us as a growing channel. It pushes this stuff out in the algorithm so more people see us. And thank you for all the interactions and chats because that makes a big difference with the algorithm as well. If you guys have suggestions or things you want to hear us talk about or stuff we can do better, please tell us in the comments because I will look at the comments. I see those all the time and I take those and try to do my best with them. So thank you guys.
Yes.
Thanks, Damien. And let's sign off, man. Good night, everybody.
All right. Good job, Eagles.
Shots fired at the end. Oh, Lord. Good night.